I like the orange kits. They're growing on me. They're in tribute to Mars, got a big lightning bolt going through them. Most importantly, Roma gets their second win of the season, 6 points out of their first two. A dream start for Gasperini, a dream start for Matthias Soule. Now it's 2 goals in 2 matches. I'm very happy. I'm not used to seeing the news and seeing these optimistic and hopeful headlines and like, yeah, Roma did it. Like, this is awesome. What does this feel like, guys? What are you doing? What were your thoughts on the match? I thought this was, very physical, very aerial, a lot of fighting. Not the way that I foresaw this going at all with Pisa, but we get a team who's tough coming from Serie B. I don't think they were the champions. I don't remember off the top of my head. Someone can throw in a comment right now if you're watching this and you remember how. But I've got a couple things that we're going to go over. We're going to look at Gasperini's press conference, some words from Matthias Soule, some of those highlights that I've been talking about. But first, I want to look at something deep here. So Pisa had a couple good moments in the last, from the 88th minute on, where they started to really apply pressure. There was a couple big shots. Even in the first couple minutes, their 21-year-old forward, he almost scored twice in those first couple minutes. But check this out. This is momentum. And you can see that Roma does have possession. They have the, yes, for lack of a better word, momentum for the overwhelming majority of the match. But I would say that Pisa's moments overall were more dangerous. And I haven't checked the XG since coming on air, but I'm actually surprised. I thought Pisa would have been over half of, I guess, that is over 0.57, but definitely closer to 1 XG, with Roma actually overachieving expectations here. 10 total shots, big chances though, 1 apiece. So not much going forward for Roma. The attack was disjointed. Man to man though, that type of tactic that Gasperini has was very good. Aside from the first couple moments where the forward got away from Hermoso. But the three of them, Hermoso and Dika in particular, had a monster of a match. Very good. 45th minute, El Shaarawy gets injured, and in place comes Dybala, who, of course, changes the tempo and the rhythm of the match completely. And if we look at that goal right here, I can't play it, but I can walk us through the motions. Angelino lays it off to Dybala and then makes a run on an overlapping run, or an underlapping run is actually the specific term here, because he's going through the center of the pitch, lays it off to Dybala, and then you can see Angelino continues to make that space out wide, and he's going to pull the right back, or I should say the right center back here, but then Dybala is going to play a beautiful poke pass into Ferguson, who sees Soule coming in, yes, making an overlapping ball here, or just showing into space there. And the angle that you can see right here between, he's got really triple marked, because this guy's blocking towards the center right of the screen. He's blocking the shot. And then there's 1, 2, the number 10 even. That's like triple coverage, quadruple coverage. Soule gets the shot off, goes into the net, and Roma, that's it. It's 1-0. Wesley celebrating there on the bottom right. He had a good performance too. Doesn't get the goal, of course, but you can't repeat from, I did say that Soule scored in the first match of this season. I'm incorrect. That was Wesley, of course, thinking back to that crazy touch he took and then scored against Bologna, who I got to see that match too, and Bologna ended up winning. They had a really poor first half. In the second half, they come back and win against, I had dinner tonight, and I may have had some adult beverages with that, so my memory's fading. Oh my gosh, who did they play today? It wasn't Bologna. Bologna versus Como. Yeah, I was surprised to see that one too, because Como's been flying so high. A lot of momentum, a lot of motivation behind them. Fabregas, of course, young squad. They paid a pretty penny bringing in a lot of young talent. But let's go to the tabloids here, and you can see that orange kit decking out the entire website of forzaroma.info. But let's look at some things that Soule had to say, and I like these comments from him. I'm going to share my Twitter page here. He says, well, he was asked, he says, you're taking this Roma under your wing, and he responds, he says, thanks to the faith, that they're placing in me, I feel better every day. By working hard during the week and with the faith everyone is giving me, I can give 100%. These points are incredibly important. It was a very tough match. We've taken the points and we need to continue on this path. There were those who said you couldn't play with Dybala, but today you did. He says, I can play with him and with anyone. The game we play is attacking. I'm with him off the pitch too, and we have a connection. When he's there, he gives us other things that help us a lot. And Gasperini was also asked this in his press conference about that. Could we continue to see this with Dybala and Soule on the pitch together? And honestly, it worked really well. The three of them with Ferguson, right? He's asked his first question, how do you rate Roma's performance? How satisfied are you? He says, overall, the performance was very good. We struggled at the start. We faced a well-organized, very physical Pisa, always very dangerous, especially in the air. We took risks at the start, but then we came out on top, even if not with great consistency. In the second half, we played really well, perhaps even well enough to score a second goal. Then Dybala came on well and had a hand in Soule's goal. He said it was a great move for both sides from the attack. They switched three players, but Paulo and Ferguson and Soule, who finished beautifully. We dominated the game for a long time, but games against physically strong teams require important plays, not just from individuals, but from the entire team as well. And that's what we saw there. The entire team had a great motion, right? Starting from Angelino to Dybala to Ferguson and laying it off for Soule. It was beautifully orchestrated. This is my MVP, Manu Kone, of the match. Was Kone's more open position intentional? And he responds, he undoubtedly has the ability to play both a little wider and a little more centrally. Today, Cristante was very central, so they should have dropped down a little bit later on that side. When he picks up speed, he's difficult to contain. In that area, he was able to find space to free himself. He's a ball carrier, but he's very effective. There are a few times where Kone had this beautiful pirouette, more reminiscent of a ballet dancer. Honestly, the way that he moved and opens himself to space is really admirable. To think that he was almost sold to Inter in the last, 2 weeks before the season started, it makes me really afraid. What would the season be like without Kone? I can't imagine, because right now there's great momentum for this team, and he's at the very heart of it. When he came on, he left Dybala on the left, meaning he. So I used auto-translate on this. By he, they mean you. They're saying lei. Lei ha lasciato Dybala sulla sinistra e non alla destra. So it means you. He says Soule on the right was the man who could outplay the opponent and create numerical superiority more than anyone else. We were doing well in that area, and I didn't want to move him. I'm convinced that Paulo can play anywhere, even on the left or as an advanced number 10. This doesn't mean that he has to shoot with his left foot from behind, but he can still create situations outside. I don't think a player should necessarily play in his comfort zone. A great player like him can occupy all the attacking areas because he always knows what to do. I want to create this variety for Soule too. I have all left-footed players in the team. Someone will have to play with their foot in the side. I think he means not inverted. I'm convinced that they do it well. That's proof. It will be the same for Soule too. I'm going to skip this one. It's very wordy and it's kind of like a political answer. Over to DAZN. He says, you didn't give anything away in the second half. Are you happy with your performance? What was missing at the start? He says, our opponents started with enthusiasm given the packed stadium. Also, this is Pisa's first home match in Serie A since 1993. In fact, we were good in these moments, especially because we took risks in a couple of situations. We never lost focus, and even at the end of the first half, we came out strong. Another question. During preseason, did you already sense that you were already so far ahead for a new project? He says, the credit goes to the lads, to the guys, for how they welcomed me and how they embraced my approach to football. They've shown enormous commitment on both a tactical and athletic level. Their friendly matches were all high quality except the one against Aston Villa. I'm truly satisfied, happy for them, because they're a group with solid and important values. This is the foundation on which I'm trying to build my way of playing. We're making progress. Then he gets another jibe from a reporter here. He says, help from the market would be helpful, though. He says, yeah, let's wait until Tuesday, and then we'll draw conclusions. Are Dybala and Soule the future of Roma's attacking midfield? He says, they're the present. I live for the present, and tonight Soule played with great quality for almost the entire match, and Dybala when he came on. We hope to have Dybala, who is healthy and doesn't have any physical issues. They're two very important players. At the press conference, you're satisfied. I want to focus on individual players, starting with Ferguson. How do you rate his game? He says, I didn't take him off because of the mistake he made. Dovbyk could have been fresh and decisive at that moment. Ferguson needs to improve physically. He comes from the north, and is used to different temperatures. As he grows, he'll become even stronger and more useful to us. I like that he's encouraging and hopeful for his striker, saying he's just got to get used to it. So we've addressed this in previous questions prior to the press conference about Dybala playing on the left, in which we know he just stated that some players are going to have to play, on the flank that they're not so used to. 3 left-footed players with Ferguson, Soule, and Dybala. So, and he says that Pisa was a strong team, right? Dangerous in the air. I think they'll have a great season. It was tough. It was a very good Roma side, though. And when you dominate a game, he says, the opponents slow down, and that was the case in the second half. We could have even scored more than 1 goal. Oh, I like this one here. The last question. Are you confident about the transfer market? Is the Champions League your goal? He says, we'll talk about it on Tuesday because it's difficult. We just went over that one in the prior from a DAZN reporter. He says, I've always been very clear about my priorities, and once the transfer window is over, we'll see what happens. So he doesn't directly answer, is the Champions League your goal, which to me, it has to be. It has to be at least a European final as well as getting back into the Champions League. That has to be like, I don't want to say the minimum, but that's it. So we got Pisa Roma. My man of the match, I said, is Manu Kone, even though Soule was the goal scorer. Let me know what you guys think. We're going to cut it here. I thought that this was a match where Roma was not lucky, but they earned those 3 points today. And Pisa surprised, man. They came out, they played strong, and I thought the team really showed some experience in where they are tactically at this moment. Defensively, there were a couple of mishaps on the man-to-man side, things that which hopefully will improve. They're still getting used to it. It's still an entirely new way of playing. And like we said, the Mercato is not up. And before we depart from this episode, I want to go over that left wing situation. So I've got some news here on Dominguez, Chiesa, as well as Sancho and Tyrique George. This is something I put together, and who was reporting it, which I think is very important here. All right, on Tyrique George, Fabrizio Romano, there we go, says that Roma is making progress in those negotiations. They want a permanent deal. Chelsea want the permanent deal, and Roma do not want to pay more than like 20 million is what I'm getting here from any winger. So that seems to be like the rough number. And that goes equally for Chiesa, who was reporting by Il Messaggero and Calciomercato.com, probably picking up the news from Il Messaggero, that Roma are still looking at Chiesa. They just don't want to reach that 20 figure, especially on a player who's had an injury, major injury. Liverpool paid 12 million euros for him just last year. So I think what would be fair, guys, 12, 13 plus 5 in bonuses, if we can end up at like a total of 17 million euros for Chiesa. Then there's Dominguez, Devayo, who is a manager at Bologna. I don't know if he's like, he's not the CEO because that's Fenucci. He has some type of role. He might be the sporting director. Anyway, he says that we spoke about it, but since the matches were ongoing, we haven't, and maybe we'll pick it back up. Maybe that will be something. So Dominguez is not going to find space for Bologna. He's young, he's crafty, he's talented, very good dribbler, a player I rate. I would be happy with, Dominguez and George, just from what he's rated. I haven't really watched him at all. But Chiesa, to me, if you bring him in, he's a game changer. I think that he still has that star power. He could come back to Italy and be a force. Under Gasperini, he would totally be unlocked. And what that would mean, not just for Roma, but also for Italy, I think is very interesting. We'll end on that note. Let me know what you think. Talk to you soon.